Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Treading Warm Water, a proud part of the Bethel Clarion podcast network. As always, I'm co-host Joe Heedy. Alongside me, Josh Towner, proud Chicagoan who doesn't live in Chicago. He lives in the suburbs. With us today, we have Will Jacott and Veda Stoddard. Josh, nobody could see that because the camera's on me. So, Towner, we'll let you do it one more time. You have the floor.
Well, first of all, the best Bulls team I've ever lived through, technically, because I was born in April of 1998. So it's the only real Chicago basketball success I can even slightly tie to my life. My take today is about TV shows. I've been watching a lot of TV shows, catching up on my shows. While I've been home for the quarantine, I've had, less responsibilities in general, so I've had a little bit more time. And TV shows need to stop playing with the timeline of an episode. You all know what I'm talking about. If you have watched a TV show for long enough, they will start an episode like somebody's in a hostage situation, and then it'll start ramping up big time, and it'll say 1 week earlier. And then suddenly you're just backtracking, everything's normal, and you have to watch them build up to that moment. It's like it's nonlinear storytelling, but they're just telling you that it's nonlinear storytelling. And that's always executed so poorly.
So I'm going to rebuttal this with maybe one of the best executed versions of this. I believe it was season 2 or season 3 of Breaking Bad, when they would begin every episode in black and white, showing you bits and pieces of spoiler warning, the inevitable plane crash that happened over Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was probably one of the best story arcs that I've ever seen in a TV show, because it was so interesting and captivating, and you kept wondering, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And you can actually go back and see that the episodes are named like 737 down over ABQ. So they were hinting at it happening in the name of the episodes. I think you just hate people's creative freedoms, and I think that you're not creative enough to think of something like that. We're in a digital filmmaking class right now, and you're just not an original content creator. So I think that's what your gripe here is.
Actually, the second part of this take is that I want them to be more creative in exercising nonlinear storytelling. So like what Breaking Bad does there, I would consider that to be a bit separate, because it's not like just one contained episode. It's not like Hawaii Five-0 or something like that, where you're going to start here, you're going to tell me that we're actually starting back in the timeline, and then you're going to show me the events. I want you to make me think.
Don't trash on Hawaii Five-0.
I'm not trashing Hawaii Five-0. It's an enjoyable show. I just want to be able to think for myself about the timeline of something. So like, you think of the show like Westworld, which I just got done watching. They do this a ton, but they never tell you explicitly what timeline you're in. They make you think for yourself what the timeline is.
So
that's what I want from a show.
If they do it, if there's like a reason for the timeline shift, and if you're finding out information as the characters are, and stuff like that, I think then it works. But if it's just like to make something a little more dramatic, I think it's just kind of lazy, and it's just kind of like have you seen The Outsider? Have any of you guys seen The Outsider?
I've not.
It's a great show, but it's just like it does a lot of like timeline shifts, and it's just confusing and kind of like just lazy for the sake of a dramatic effect. So I agree. If it's creative, I think it works, but otherwise I think it's just lazy.
I don't know. I disagree. I think that I like those episodes. I don't necessarily look forward to them, but it's a nice change in pace after you watch the same thing over and over and over again. I'll call to another episode. CW's The Flash did this one time, where all of a sudden something was about to happen, a bomb's about to explode, and then it shifts back. That's nice in shows where, it's basically the same thing over and over again. Oh, there's a criminal. Oh, we're going to go catch him. We've caught the criminal after we almost didn't catch the criminal. Kind of same thing with those like Law and Order SVU, Hawaii Five-0, those type of shows where it's like, oh, here's a suspect. We're going to interview him. Oh, we found this guy. He's tried. Oh, he's thrown in jail. Like, I think those episodes are nice because it kind of gives a little bit of pizzazz and a little bit of flair if I may, use some fancy words here. Yeah, I think your gripe is that you may have an episode that you don't like, but I think it works quite often in TV shows.
I agree, Joe. I think that it's fine. I like having like the flashback scenes. What I don't like is when you can't tell the flashback scenes. It just randomly cuts to a different random thing that's happening. And like I the movie called has Ryan Reynolds in it, and the whole movie is about how his daughter got like kidnapped from the car when he went to get up pot or something. And the whole movie about him and his wife trying to like find their daughter, but it just randomly cuts to all these different scenes where like the daughter is randomly like 20 and then she's like 5 and then they're like divorced but then they're together and you have no idea what's going on in the entire movie. It's just so poorly done that you have no idea what's even happening. You can't like follow a timeline. You don't know.
Is that the
So
movie
when
with Sandra Bullock?
What?
Is that the movie with Sandra Bullock?
I'm not sure. I just remember Ryan Reynolds was in it. I try to push it out of my mind.
Yeah,
I
I
think-
agree. I think it's bonkers. I think your whole take is just absolutely bonkers. I think you just have gripe because, like I said before, I don't think you're that creative. But yeah, you haven't spoken in a while, so we'll let you go, Tony.
First of all, what is this word gripe you keep saying? Do you mean gripe?
I don't know words, man. I just speak. If it sounds right, I say it.
Okay, I just was confused on that point very briefly there. I think nonlinear storytelling can work well. You think of movies like Dunkirk or Arrival or like Pulp Fiction, which is widely considered one of the better movies ever made. And those all do nonlinear storytelling, but they execute it well. Now, I agree, when nonlinear storytelling is executed poorly, it's harder to follow. Usually there's no like shocker at the end where you're like, oh, that's how all the dots connect. But when it comes down to TV shows like The Flash or like Arrow or I don't know, like CSI, something like that, where they do the nonlinear storytelling, I think they're just not personally creative enough to keep the show engaging. Like if you need to manufacture tension by showing me the end of the episode first, like you're just not doing the episode well enough.
That's
at
what
that
I mean.
point.
It's just lazy. If it's not executed well enough, it's just kind of like a way out of manufacturing that tension.
So I want to get back to the take though, because you said it never should happen. Do you now think it's not that it never should happen, or that it should just happen when it's executed properly?
I think it should never happen where you explicitly tell me the timeline change that's undergoing. I don't want you to be like, here's an event, and now here's 7 days earlier. Here's what happened 7 days earlier. And the reason I was thinking of this, I watched an episode of Ozark 2 nights ago where they started with some nonlinear storytelling, and I don't know why they did it. Like the whole thing could have just been shown in normal chronological order, and it would have worked exactly the same as it did work. I think some shows do it just to try and show you that they're being creative when really it's more of a laziness in writing. And I think Ozark's a great show, so I was really disappointed when they did this. So I think it can happen, but it needs to be more showing that the timeline is not in a straight line or that we're seeing it non-linearly, or like, don't tell me. It's all about showing and not telling. So it can happen if you show me, but I hate it when you tell me because I want to be able to think for myself.
Yeah, I agree.
So there's a pretty popular episode of Danny Phantom where this happens. Do you think that it doesn't work in cartoons either?
I mean, it's part of the same argument, so sure. I'm not going to argue about Danny Phantom right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I just disagree. I don't think any point you've made has really swayed me. I think I like it when writers and when producers take creative risks, even though it's going to upset some 20-something-year-old kid in his Chicago childhood bedroom with Star Wars in the background and a Chicago Bulls t-shirt on. I think it's fine. I don't think it hurts the show. I don't think it makes the show necessarily stronger, but I don't think it hurts it in any means whatsoever. Writers have whatever, freedom, I guess I would say, they have the freedom to do whatever they want. So I think you getting mad about somebody writing a show is doesn't matter.
Joe just likes lazy screenwriting is what he's saying.
He does. Joe actually, despite trying to insult me this entire episode, is actually the one in this argument who lacks the creative freedom and the creative state of mind to consider alternate possibilities to what's presented to him.
The last
So
time
you can get in here and you can talk about my t-shirt and you can talk about my wall. No, you can do that. And sure, go ahead. I'm not going to need to use that though, because my argument's just simply better than yours. I don't have to get personal.
So I'm going to talk about a private conversation we had when I said that I didn't like how Star Wars The Last Jedi was written and produced because I thought they could have done it in better ways, and Josh Towner got mad at me for thinking that it could have been done in better ways. Pretty similar argument, but we've just flipped sides now. Some would say, I think we should go around the table before this gets to be too heated of an episode. Where you at?
Yep, there he goes. There he goes, making a point and swaying it so I can't respond. Go right ahead. Veda, give us your response to the take.
I think that the time jumps are fine to have in TV shows and movies. I think that they can be done in better and more artistic ways, but I think that the standard 3 weeks earlier isn't a terrible thing. I think it adds interest in visual contrast from other episodes or other movies. But I agree, it could be done better in many different shows.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I feel quite as strongly as Josh on this, but I do agree. If I see a scene that's pretty intense, and then all of a sudden you get 2 days earlier, you're all right, here we go. I don't know. It just is kind of it ends up being more boring than anything. So I agree with Josh.
I'm going to hold my opinions on this take personally and privately. If you want to know what I think, you could message me on Instagram at Jokidi because I don't want Josh Towner to attack me again. So I'll yield my floor time.
All right. Well, we're going to save our Star Wars arguments for another episode. Obviously, Joe's going to give you his side. My side of that argument is that Joe wanted to change that movie because he completely missed the point of it. When it comes down to TV shows, it's almost always lazy writing if you're going to do nonlinear storytelling like that, because in a 25 episode season of a TV show, of course things are going to get monotonous, but that's why you shouldn't even be penciling TV shows in for a 25 episode season. I don't need 22 episodes of The Flash to tell me that Barry Allen runs fast or to get me emotional impact with characters or to give me better narratives. It's going to get monotonous. That's how you know a show's doing too many episodes or it's not being creative enough with its storylines, is when it has to run it back like that and give us nonlinear storytelling by telling us explicitly that it's nonlinear storytelling. I'd rather think for myself when I watch my shows.
Well, that'll do it for this episode and this series of episodes for Treading Warm Water. We appreciate your support, as always, whether it be on Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube. We hope you all are staying safe, staying healthy. We'll catch you guys on the next one.